just going to keep looking at the shell and be like,
Shiny.
oh, it's pretty.
I love these shells far too much. I'm having way too much fun with it. Hello, everyone. It is Friday, which means that it's time for another Paint and Slay. I am V. Above me is Lauren. And today we're going to be continuing with, as Lauren was beautifully displaying, our lovely Flail Snail. And we're also going to tap into pulling in a Lizardfolk Render, which is another thing from WizKids that we'll be painting from the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures line. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of, oh, Bellswin, thank you so much. We have some lovely subscription donations. Thank you for that. So before we get into all of that, Lauren, what do we have going on with the game? Pew, 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 pew.
Oh, just natural 20s in chat. Sorry, I get very distracted. Any excuse to use the natural 20 or the natural 1 emote that we have makes me happy.
They're good.
So there we go. So Events 2.0 has finally launched and has launched with Dadius and the Dark Urge. So go into the game if you haven't had a chance yet. If this is your first time booting up the game, guess what? It's Events 2.0 time. You get the reworked Dadius and the brand new The Dark Urge. And both of them are available now, and then your flex slots will open up. And might I suggest Briv and Alindra, but that might just be me. You have a whole bunch of champions to choose from, and not only unlock these cool new champions, but lots and lots of chests. And with Events 2.0, it's a little more challenging, but also a lot more stuff that you get for doing stuff. So we're all excited about that. That launched on Wednesday, and with the new Events 2.0, the event is going on until the 20s to the 20.
I want to say 20.
Oh, I should know
27th,
this.
I think.
I'm gonna. It's so new. Hold on. I'm gonna go to the calendar.
Yeah, I think it's the 27th. That's when it wraps up.
Yes, Festival of Fools ends on the Wednesday, the 27th at noon. That only took a couple extra minutes to look up. That's
totally
fine.
That's totally fine. No big deal.
So yeah, you still got quite a bit of time to get all that stuff done, but there's a lot more to do now. So go and have some fun with them. And if you are struggling to get any of those variants done, then this weekend is a good weekend for you because the latest weekend promo thing is up there. It's the Dirge Run weekend because Dirge, because it's the Dark Urge. Yeah.
Dirge.
So check your email in the next couple of hours. If you've signed up for the newsletter, you should be getting the newsletter talking about Dirge Run weekend with the free gold Dirge chest, which is harder to say than it sounds.
Free gold Dirge chest,
yeah. All these all these fun champions get a buff throughout the weekend to help you with all of your adventure and event joy. And I mean, that's enough. The last couple of weeks we've had a lot to talk about, so it's kind of nice to be past all of the big announcements and now be just enjoying the fruits of the labors of our devs and just enjoying playing the game and getting onto the sparkly.
The sparklies and the fun. So yeah, like Lauren showed, we're going to keep working on finishing up our fantastic Flail Snail. There's just a few things left to do on this beauty, and I'm sorry, I'm just super thrilled with the colors that are going on with this Flail Snail.
Oh yeah.
Then we're going to tap into the Lizardfolk Render from WizKids, which is this beast for reasons. For reasons, its shape and form didn't remind me of anything else that could be in the game right now. Just saying. The fun thing is that this one also has a fun touch of color, because if you take a look here, we're going to be dealing with some oranges and yellows and blues, which I'm kind of like, okay, I'm here for it. We're doing colors on the minis. So that'll be fun to do. So we're going to do some stuff with the Flail Snail, jump over to doing some things on the, I'm just going to call it the render because my mouth does not want to say Lizardfolk Render every single time. Like, it's mushing it together. So we're going to kind of do a back and forth because there's certain steps to the Flail Snail that need to dry, aka a wash, before we move on to doing other things, etc., etc. So we will start with the Flail Snail, and what we're going to do is get to the base. So we're going to be all about the base for now and get this painted up, and then we'll go in and remove any paints that might have gotten onto the slimes, which are these streaks right over here and here, and is there one on this side? Not on there. So we
Yeah,
have
just
the
the
3 areas of slime to clean up. And then we're going to do a wash and let this dry. Then we'll jump over to the render, do more work on that. Once the wash dries on the Flail Snail, we'll then work on getting coats of the Mod Podge Ultra on here, which is going to take this nicely shiny snail shell to a shiny snail shell. Okay? Because, I mean, we have to amp it up. So that's going to be the game plan for today in a nutshell. So we want to start with some black and leather brown from the D&D Prismatic Paints. Again, these are Vallejo paint line colors. So it's something where if you have Vallejo paints, you might actually have these 2 already without having the prismatic sets, because these are very common colors in both the game color and, I want to say, is leather brown in the model line. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I know black is. So we're going to do a mix of mostly leather brown with just a touch of black, because we want to darken that leather brown up a little bit.
Okay.
And paint that onto the base.
All right.
So like 5 parts leather to 1 part black.
Oh, and through all of this, if anybody has any questions for us about painting or Idle Champions, go ahead and put those in chat with question in big capital letters, because the fabulous Gabe is in chat grabbing those questions for us and saving them, so that while I am putting together 5 parts leather brown, 1 part black, you said?
Yes, you got
Okay,
it.
then I won't miss your question.
There you go.
Listen, McTribble, I happened to look over and saw McTribble was slow to arrive today. Listen, you're still here 7 minutes into a 2-hour show.
Right?
You're doing fine. You're doing just fine. It's a Friday. Give yourself some grace. It's gonna be fine.
So it's like this muddy round color that we want. Okay, how did I miss not getting water?
Because there's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. I'll be right back, because I can't not have water for today. It's literally around the corner.
Water is important. Hey, everybody at home, you should also have water, not just to do painting, but you should be hydrating. Remember to hydrate. I'll even talk about the Discord, discord.gg/idlechampions, and now I am forced to drink. There we go. Everybody, what is everybody's drink of choice this afternoon?
Cup?
Just going with water. Anyone got some tea? I've been on a ginger ale kick for a very long time now. Specifically Canada Dry no sugar ginger ale, which makes me happy.
That's
but
good.
we ran out, and so I'm back to flavored water, which is okay, just fine.
Yeah.
And McTribble, I can't tell if you just made an excellent pun or if that's true. Either way, bravo. They said I tried for earlier, but internet was a snail's pace.
I mean, ¿por qué no los dos?
All right, I'm gonna water this down because this is.
Yeah, if it's thick, then definitely water it down. And with mine, I am able to tuck the brush a little bit under the slime trail in some spots, but not necessarily in all of them. So if you can get your brush underneath that lip, then go for it. If not, you can just skirt around the edges. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, knowing we're going to be able to fix that a little later is very helpful.
Hello, mon petit. What's up, baby girl?
Let's see what we got. Seeker 30K says, my big 64-ounce water bottle is full on my desk. Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. Caliph Marin, always water for kidneys or for them ice flavors. Yeah, absolutely. Star Chaser 43, unsweetened iced tea from McAllister's.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of like very lightly sweetened iced tea. Like I want just a little bit of sweetening. But I've been to the South, and where if you just ask for sweet tea, you're getting sugar with a dash of water.
It's sugar water.
Yeah, which, you know what? Friend and colleague and the content creator behind Briv Steel Marrow, aka Adam Bradford. I would never denigrate sweet tea with him as a friend or in front of him, but it is a bit. It's a bit.
Yeah, like I grew up in Texas for a little bit, and you'd order it just as tea. You don't have to say sweet tea. You're just like, I have a tea. And then I went to upstate New York to stay with grandparents, and I ordered tea, iced tea. Took that first sip, and my mouth was not happy. You know when you're expecting one flavor and you get something else entirely? Oh yeah.
Even if it's good, even if the second flavor you get is a good flavor that you normally
It's
like, just the fact that you're not expecting it.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's exactly what it was. It was just my mouth's like, this is not what we ordered. So can you please stop disassembling the studio setup? Come here.
They get more and more insistent on being catered to every single week. It's fun.
Swear to God, this one has already turned her internal clock forward. So she thinks now is the perfect time to start begging for food for dinner. Oh, yeah. Because that's happening this weekend, by the way. Don't forget.
Shoot. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. Yeah.
All right, everybody, if you've got a phone that is of the Google variety, turn down the thing for a second because I'm holding something I can't let go. Google. Hey, Google. Set an alarm for 3 hours from now to tell me that daylight savings time is this weekend. I hope it got it. Because I need to remember that because not only do I have things going on this weekend that I need to make sure that I'm on time for, I have to make sure that all the in-game alerts do the right thing.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's this weekend.
Thank you so much. That would, that I would have been surprised. Fortunately, the stuff I have on Sunday isn't till later in the day. So I would like to think that I wouldn't have been actually late for anything, but it would have definitely been a surprise to be like, oh, I'm going to set my alarm for 9 o'clock, and then suddenly it's 10 o'clock. Oh, no. Losing an hour. Oh, I forgot
I know.
about that.
I'm bitter. I'm already bitter about it. I'm not even hiding. I'm like, I'm truly just bitter. It's like, give it back. We don't need to take it away anymore.
We go through this every year, and every year there's a big, everybody makes the good points about how we don't need to do this anymore. And then kind of rightfully so, we all get distracted by slightly more important matters.
Yeah.
But still, one of these years it's going to happen, and we're actually all going to do something about it. So we'll see. Let me go back to.
Oh yeah. I was just going to say, it's like it drastically affects the workflow for like the 2 weeks after.
Oh yeah.
So companies lose money by doing this.
Oh yeah. Nobody likes it.
No.
Nobody I know likes it. Not even the people that it was originally for like it anymore. It's such a PETA to try to change that nobody wants to go through with it.
I forgot who I heard it from, where I heard it from, but the saying is, it's like taking a blanket and cutting the top off and sewing it to the bottom and expecting it to be longer. I'm like,
Like that's not how time works.
Yeah.
That is not how time works.
Yeah. Anyways, so time change rant done.
Yeah. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. That is going to be helpful this weekend. Let's see. Let me catch up with drinks because that's at least a slightly more fun topic.
I like drinks.
Ember Flame Queen says water, but I forgot to refill it. Hey, guess what? Now is an excellent time for you to refill your water. I promise when you come back, we will update you on what you missed. Go be hydrated because hydration is important.
Hydration is power.
Lightning Hawk says, I'm making a sandwich for lunch at the moment, so we'll have a Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream flavor. There's a strawberries and cream Dr. Pepper?
Wait. Back that truck up. I'm sorry.
I mean, this is new to me, too. Is this a new thing, or are V and I just behind on the Dr. Pepper times?
I want a Dr. Pepper strawberry and cream.
I'm not even like the biggest Dr. Pepper fan.
I'm not a big soda person, but I want to try.
Yeah. That's I'm gonna have to look for that the next time I'm at the store. See if I can get like a can to try or something. Strawberries and
Quick Check would have some.
That sounds decadent and lovely. That sounds like a dessert.
It do.
Noble13 says, I live in the South. Sweet tea is pure sugar with a little bit of water added. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? The people who love it, that's okay. You love it.
yeah.
It's great. It's a little bit of a shock for those of us who are not used to that much sweet in our tea. Oh, Nobi13 also says the next few weeks are all messed up. I work with a bunch of Brits and we'll be on slightly different schedules.
Yeah. Thank God I have an app for that, because now that there's things happening in many different parts of the world for me with communications, that's all I'm giving you folks. That's all you get on my end. Cool stuff is happening on the pipeline, but that's all I get. Yeah, because now I'm playing what time is it going to be here? Oh crap, they aren't moving until 2 weeks later. Oh wait, they already moved ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the actual worst thing about daylight savings. Like, yes, you wake up and you've lost an hour. That sucks. But eventually you get over it. But for a good, what is it, like 2 weeks? Everybody is on slightly different time schedules, and just it messes everything up.
It do. It really do.
So yeah, more power to all of you who have to deal with that. I have to deal with that in small bits. Mostly I just need to make sure that all the in-game alerts are happening at the right time, because you know what? Time changes happen and suddenly in-game alerts don't happen at the right time. So
it also might be worth to check in with everyone who's getting the in-game alerts to make sure they too are aware of the shift.
Well, fortunately on Sunday, right now, the only show that gets an in-game alert from us, because the other shows that were on Sundays have sadly but beautifully come to conclusions for their shows. But right now, the only one is the GaryCon show that Jason Charles Miller does and everything. And that's not until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when there isn't a time change Pacific.
Right.
So
that's Gax Pack, right?
It used to be the Gax Pack. It's now a slightly different show, but a lot of the same people.
Okay.
Slightly different campaign. So hopefully, I feel like something that is in the afternoon has way less of a chance of having problems, as far as, because by then most people will have realized.
Yeah.
But you know what? It can't hurt to send a little note and be like, hey, by the way, I just want everybody to be happy.
Just checking. Oh, just looking into things. No big deal. Oh no, Nobi, I'm so sorry. Worst part of daylight saving time is it's usually on the weekend of my birthday. That sucks.
That does. You should be able to celebrate for an hour when the time change happens again. You should be able to get that hour of your birthday back. I'm just saying. It's folks with a birthday, and then folks with a birthday on February 29th. They deserve all kinds of extra stuff for the stuff they have to put up with.
There you go. Okay, so I have this all painted up.
Almost done. I'm
almost there.
Yeah, I got the front a little bit to do.
Now, forewarning, there is a space here that you will not be able to reach, and yes, you are going to see that. It is up to you if you want to try and pour some wash in. Well, not pour. Guide some wash in there later on down the line. But this is also one of those things where, are you going to be the one holding it up and going like, hello, let me see? Most likely, it's not even going to be noticed because of how this sits on the table. But there is a very tight, awkward spot that is hard to get to both top and bottom. So there's that little gap, heads up.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. The one that's right in the front here.
Yep. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, but I think you're definitely right. It is a spot that once you remember, okay, I'm holding this at a at an angle no one is really going to hold it at. It's pretty buried under there. That's not too bad.
Yeah. So,
but I think I got everywhere else.
So we're going to let that dry, and then we definitely want that to dry. So we'll jump over to the Lizardfolk Render. My brain wants to go Lizard Render. Not the folk keeps getting skipped over in my brain.
And there must be something about the way those words are, because like I said, I'm having a similar problem. I just want to keep saying gray render. I also do not want to say, completely different monster. Both renders.
Yeah. But let me take this. I was going to say pup. Let me take this puppy out of the box. Suddenly I'm a car salesman.
So I decided to. I went back and forth. I put mine on a thing that has a word that
Mini holder.
a mini holder, which for me is a pill bottle because I have a lot of them.
Yeah, still works.
And it probably doesn't need it, but it was one of those like, this is just that awkward size. I'll give it a try first. So I may end up eventually taking it off, but
whatever works for you, seriously. So here is this lovely Lizardfolk Render, and it got texture, y'all.
Look at those abs. This thing literally has like 14
scales, abs.
I don't know how to...
Fin, frill things, spikies. Like, this is going to be a fun one to do, even though it's, easier color blends in terms of, like, it's mostly green with some browns and then some pops of color. This is still going to be a fun one to bring out and enhance. And it is, yes, the Maharishi, it is a big boy. This is another large compared to a medium. Gives you a sense of scale. And remember that the Flail Snail is actually huge.
Mm-hmm.
I have proof. I have proof in the bases. Well, maybe, except for the one base is running away from me now. Oh my god, seriously? Come here. So this is the Flail Snail's base. This is the Render's base. As you can see, one of these things is not like the other. But it's definitely
they both big boys.
Yeah, they big boys. So what we want to do is grab some bloody red, and we're going to paint the inside of the mouth of this this dude. I'm just going to call him dude. That's it. He's dude. Inside of the dude. Dude. You know what? This would be a monster I would absolutely give like the surfer dude sup type of approach.
That would definitely be a little bit of a surprise as far as meeting up with this creature.
Right.
There would definitely be some interesting looks. This fearsome lizard folk shows up and is like, "Yo, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing here?"
Bruh.
Hey, where are my tiny brushes at?
Okay, why does this not want to come out?
Okay.
Pardon me, I'm having some paint technical issues.
That's okay. I am...
Come out.
Do I want to... Where did my tiny little brushes
There
go?
we
I
go.
didn't really grab any tiny little brushes.
A wee little brush.
Yeah. No, it's a mouth. So I should probably
Yeah.
go tiny, tiny, tiny. Let's...
Itsy bitsy living space. Okay. So
There we go. There's a 4/0. I don't think you could get much smaller.
Yeah, that's wee bit. So I'm just gonna go in. And again, remember, we are purposely starting with the mouth, so that if you should upsy-daisy some red out, that's gonna be okay.
Especially since this creature doesn't have as clear of a delineated side of the mouth, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like some creatures have a ridge.
You can tell where the lips end.
Yeah. I mean, this brings up a question I was asking earlier, although a lizard folk is slightly different than a dragonborn. Does this creature have lips?
Oh. That's a good question.
So, I've been having fun asking this with dragonborn specifically, but I think lizard folk is a close enough relative as far as a creature goes. Although one of my arguments for dragonborn why they do have lips is because people keep saying, well, but they're a lizard. And I'm like, but they're not. They are warm-blooded creatures just because they're scaly. I think they have lips because they can talk and they can go ooh. So they just don't have big lips, or they have scaly lips. But I think they got lips. But that is 100% an opinion of mine. And
no, I like this theory territory we're running into right now. I'm enjoying this thought process.
Does this creature have lips?
This one, no. No.
Okay.
Because to me, lips become a different type of texture than the skin around your face. And this texture carries all the way through. So that
Okay.
scaliness keeps going. It's not like it softens. Like beholders have lips because you'll notice on a lot of sculpts that the texture around the mouth gets softer and
Yeah.
it's not as ridged form as you'll see on a lot of the sculpts. That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, now
So,
let's name a monster and does it have lips?
well, and I'm gonna offer one other,
Mm-hmm.
because I think the idea of the texture doesn't change and thus it isn't lips is a fair argument. Uh, I think this creature does have lips, and they're just
Okay.
scaly lips because they're
Oh,
scaly.
okay.
Um, and um, I'm gonna say if you look at the sculpt on this thing, there is actually they are scales. They're clearly a bunch of scales, but there is a clear scale delineation around the mouth that is different than the rest of the jaw and the upper portion of the head that I
Okay.
think would count as lips.
Mm-hmm. That's also something I never thought I would consider.
Right? So I will explain why. Um, this was like 2 weeks ago at this point because I get distracted by these fun weird questions.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting on the couch working on a thing that I can't talk about yet. That involved Dragonborn. That
Okay.
involved working on a Dragonborn thing. At the same time, my lovely partner was playing was literally playing the Dark Urge in Baldur's Gate 3. He's doing a solo, be the Dark Urge, be the most evil Dark Urge as possible. Since our co-op playthrough, we're kind of being heroic good people.
Mm-hmm.
So at about the same time, the thing I was working on presented me with a reason to ask, do Dragonborn have lips? And when I looked up at the Dark Urge on the screen and I thought about Orkira and I thought about some of the other Dragonborn, I came to a different conclusion than my lovely partner about whether
Interesting. Okay.
Dragonborn have lips. So this is why I think it was 2 weeks ago the adjective for the sketching hour was luscious lips because I'd been asking about it, and so we just made the adjective that day the luscious lips. It was
Luscious
funny.
lips.
Luscious.
Luscious lips. Luscious lips, darling. The luscious. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. We're gonna put the render down for a moment, and we're gonna
Give me
go
over
back to the snail, and we're just gonna take straight up leather brown and dry brush the texture of the base.
Okay. Rough Rider 1995. Any big plans yet for the 100th episode? Will it be 1/5 of what Mars has planned for Mars Cunningham next week? I mean, what Mars has planned. First off, you'll have to just watch.
Yes.
You're gonna want to be there. It's gonna be fun. For those that don't know, Mars has his 500th episode coming up next week.
Yeah.
But you are right. In a couple weeks, we have our 100th episode, and I will not give away any plans just yet. But I will say we do. We have talked about the fact that it is our 100th episode.
Yep. The plotting has started.
There you go. All right.
I'm
Dry
just gonna
brushing.
dry brush that base. Just to bring out those lovely ripples in the sand.
Let's see if I remember the direction I went in.
Do.
Ah, my paper towels are being difficult.
Oh no. We don't like a difficult paper towel.
No, they're supposed to be helpful. Let's
Yeah.
stop that. No, you're supposed to help.
They're supposed to be the a household aid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wednesday is right now when Mars's 500th episode will drop, and ours is towards the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, all goes according to plan.
Yeah, internet sometimes decides to have problems.
Internet.
People decide to take off. There can be happy reasons too why
Yeah.
we would miss a week, but that is something that we have we've been keeping an eye on. So I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be a problem? No, I think you're dry.
You're gonna be part of the problem? I'm gonna be the whole problem. I love that
Yeah.
little girl. Oh my god. I'm sorry, there's just some clips I will absolutely stop and watch every single time. And for those of you who aren't aware of it, it's this young little girl whose mother's like, "Are you going to be part of the problem or the solution?" And the little girl kind of pauses for a moment, looks her mother dead, and goes, "I'm going to be the whole problem." I'm just like, yeah, go for it, young lady.
I feel that. I feel that in my bones.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that takes care of the base.
Yeah.
Set that down to dry, and then we're going to go back to the render, and we're going to put a little bit of, one moment please, dead white in with the bloody red to make a lighter pinkish tone, and we'll dry brush the inside of the mouth to get out the tongue detail. So just a touch of dead white.
Okay.
I'm even going to put it next to it, and I can just dip my brush in and mix rather than turn this into Pepto-Bismol pink. We don't want Pepto-Bismol pink.
I 100% agree, but also now I kind of do.
You do want Pepto?
I don't really. Except maybe I could.
Maybe.
Maybe it's kind of funny.
I'm of the considering.
Dry brush. There we go.
Yeah.
I had to go from the largest dry brush I had to the smallest, although this
So I'm aiming for this, Lauren, as context.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got close.
Yeah. All right, I'm actually going to go in with a fluffy round brush to do this because all of my dry brushes that are flat are too wide to really get in here. I'm just going to take the side of the brush and float it over. I'm really highlighting the ridges in the tongue.
Yeah, I was about to say it's basically the tongue, right?
Yep.
Oh, the sides of this mouth is going to be a little bit of a mess for a while, but that's
okay.
Just the way it works.
Okay, set that down. Again, to dry. And remember, when you're painting with red, you want that to dry before you start doing anything else. Because red loves to play with other colors and dominate is the issue. So yeah, just give it a minute. It's worth it. Totally worth it.
All right, I need to ask about this. The Maharishi 66 says, I got a set of Fox Bright Polinsky sable brushes. They are exquisite. Sable as in the
fur.
animal?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yep, they will use sable fur to make brushes.
Interesting. Are they as fancy as they sound?
They're quite plush and nice. Yes, they are very nice brushes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, in any hobby, there's always going to be a spectrum of stuff to use. And so it's interesting now that I've been painting for 97 episodes to at least learn about like some of the fancy schmancy stuff.
Yeah.
All right, back to the snail.
Back to the shell. So now we're going to go to that rubbing alcohol and start removing some residual paint that might have ended up on this part of the slime. And I have like a little bit that got on here. What I might actually, you can do a couple things. You can take a Q-tip. I was going to say a toothbrush. I'm too tired.
Yeah, that happens.
Take a Q-tip and, get some rubbing alcohol on that and carefully just remove what you can on the upper portion. You can also go in and carefully with a brush also pull away the paints. But you want to make sure you're approaching this carefully because you don't want to get this put up too close to the paint. The good news is if you end up slipping a little bit and you don't want to remove something on the snail, stop moving anything against it and blow on it and the rubbing alcohol will evaporate and the paint will stay where it was. But slow and steady, no pun intended, slow and steady is your best friend right now.
I was real good about the brown. That was a little easier to keep away, but I
The
did get some
yellow.
of the
Yeah.
orange/yellow on the sides
Yep.
here, so I'm
Same.
trying to
You
clean
can
that up a
see
little bit.
that is what came off of the slimy part for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
All right.
I think I might actually pull a brush out just to get a little bit that I can't reach with a Q-tip. Oop.
Yeah, there's definitely a spot here behind the slime, as it were.
Yeah.
Ooh, jeez. Okay.
So basically what I'm doing with a paintbrush is it has rubbing alcohol in it, and I am gliding it across the area that I can't reach with a Q-tip. And as it removes the paint, I'm blotting it onto the paper towel. You can see those little yellow marks. That's what's pulling off of the mini.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. And I'll go back with the Q-tip and remove whatever excess kind of got pulled through. This is sort of like the opposite of watching paint dry. It's watching paint be removed.
It's also interesting because there are sections in where I'm like, oh, just a very little bit got on here. So I'm just going to gently, pull that away right there and it'll be fine. And then I go to
Right.
wipe it off on the paper towel and it's like, oh, wow, that was a lot more than I
That
was
was a lot more than you realized. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oop. And also make sure you're capping your rubbing alcohol between dips, because it will evaporate quickly if you don't, but also the fumes will get to you quickly at the same time. Nasal safety, respiratory safety.
Okay. I think I'm at the point where I keep thinking I've found a spot and it is actually I'm just seeing the color behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm getting close here. There's one little
Okay.
bit. That I think I'm going back to the Q-tip for. All right.
Fair enough.
Also, I think that paintbrush has had it.
Oh no.
That's fine. That was one of the reasons I grabbed it for this in specific, is it was already starting to fray and splay and do things that paintbrushes shouldn't do. And so I'm like, oh, I can grab that one. And now it's frayed and splayed in such a way, mainly in the plane. Sorry. In where it's even too splayed to do what I need it to do for just wiping this off. So I think it's just time to
giving up the ghost.
Yeah, time to retire that one.
It's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's just the little bits up here in the slime in the front.
Mm-hmm.
The front of this creature. I was apparently much better about the back slime than I was about the front slime.
I think there was less need to get into its space because of how it's laid out on the mini.
Well, and you had mentioned, and it was completely, at least for me, correct about it was easy to paint under the slime on the front and on the side.
Yeah.
Not so much on the front, but on the side, it was actually kind of fun to like just shove my paintbrush under there. It was very satisfying.
Yeah. It's squishy. The small planes are out today because it's a beautiful day outside. There's like a little airport where people fly their single engine, small airplanes. So every so often you hear like this loud plane engine flying close to the house and you're like, oh, that's right. They're doing their flying stuff.
They're just having fun flying.
Mm-hmm.
I, on the other hand, live very close to Boeing, and so when that happens, it's
Oh
usually a
yeah.
very large plane.
Yeah.
It causes Luke and I both be like, "What is going on?"
Right? Okay. I think I got it all.
Yeah, I'm getting a last little bit here.
Yeah.
I think I'm at the point. I might not have gotten 100% of it, but I'm definitely at the point where if I
Most of it's
try to,
good.
yeah, if I try to do any
Yeah.
more, I'm just going to cause more problems.
No, young lady. You cannot come up here now. No, no, little mistake. Okay, so with that cleaned off, I'm debating. No,
You
we're gonna
debate.
make that fun. I'm debating. Okay, so now we're gonna start doing the wash stuff. We're gonna have some fun with this one. Now, if you don't have this Cassandora yellow, totally cool, not a problem. What you'll do, instead of what Laura and I will be doing with this, is you'll just take a sepia wash and wash the entire fleshy part of the snail, basically. So the flails themselves, take it down the body of the snail and the tail, okay? Leave the shell alone. And then you can also do the sepia wash on the base, but that you really want to make sure is dried. So get, little girl, that you want to be sure is dry just to be really safe. Okay, this is not cool, my dear. No, no, no. No, no, no.
Sorry, hearing you go from instructor to mom in basically in one sentence was amusing.
It's incredible what you're able to do with your voice when needed. So for those who do have the Cassandora Yellow from the Citadel shade line, what you're going to do is take this and focus it basically where the orange is, okay? And kind of bring it down into the upper area where the webbing starts. So that's what we're going to do with the Cassandora Yellow, and then we'll switch to sepia and take that down the rest of the body. Reason being because the Cassandora Yellow plays beautifully with oranges, so I really want to play that up more. Because, I mean, how often do you get to do this with miniatures? Have these lovely, bright and vibrant colors like this on a big old monster.
Exactly. And so far enough down that you get close to the yellow, but not over the yellow.
Here, what I'll do is I'll start there, actually. So I'm going to start basically where I see my orange is ending and pull it up the stalk.
Ah, okay. That makes slightly more sense than what I was doing. I will adjust my plan of attack.
And that just helps amplify the warmth and the vivid tone of the top of the flail snails. See? Here's with the Cassandora and without. Highly recommend. It's a fun wash. It's also great when you're doing fire effects to paint it on as the last step.
Oh, it's just so pretty.
It really is. It's the payoff's rewarding.
It's so much fun to get these bright colored minis in. It's just...
I'm a fan.
It is just so cool.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. Mick Tribble, the voice change made me sit up straight and behave. Yep. Mm-hmm. Good. I still have the power.
Ovi, you never lost it.
Right.
Trust me.
God.
There have been definitely times people who are watching will have noticed and where V will admonish her cats and but young lady and
Mama.
I mean, I haven't been young in a while, but I'm still going to pay attention.
Right. Oh God. I was at a school event the other night and there were a couple of youths who were misbehaving.
The youths.
The youth. Pardon me, but what is a youth?
What is a youth? I haven't seen that movie in a while.
God, now I want to watch it. And it was one of those things where the content that they were joking around about pretty much wasn't appropriate.
Mm.
And, parents weren't nearby to, correct the behaviors type of thing. So I finally just turned around and I pivoted into my high school teacher voice, raised an eyebrow, called them on their behavior, and promptly made the one start to blush and go, "Oh, I'm really sorry." Like, don't do it. Just don't do it. It's not funny. It's not cool.
Everyone, when they're young, you gotta have those learning
absolutely.
experiences.
Oh, absolutely. And at that age, especially, they love to test the waters and see what they can get away with. Been there, done that.
And frankly, I'm just glad that they were able to do that in a place in where they're just going to get admonished by you and not end up on it's TikTok or something. Like I
Yep.
feel, uh, when I was growing up, it was a pretty popular refrain of like the back in my day, kids have it so easy these days. All the people who were older. Now that I'm grown up, kids have it way worse.
Kids have it, yeah, a very different life experience than people realize.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine being a young age and being terrified of not just making the normal mistakes that young people make because you're young and that happens, but like then it ends up getting filmed and put everywhere, and that's horrifying. And so like I feel horrible for kids that not any of the extreme stuff that people do, but like just normal ridiculous
stuff, yeah.
Anything that anybody does that you just got to learn from, and now you got to worry about it also being preserved online for everybody to watch forever. That's just I hate that for everybody. I'm loving this Casadura yellow though.
It's just really, it just makes those rich, warm, bright tones pop. Makes me very happy. Very, very happy with this.
I got everywhere.
Oh?
I think.
I think I have one more stock left.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Turning the stalks over and be like, did I actually get everywhere or did I miss a whole side of a stalk? Because
Fair.
It happens.
Oh, it totally does, yeah.
And then just doing extra poking in the and the big nodules on the top.
Yeah.
Poke, poke, poke.
The pokey bits. Poke the pokey bits.
I think I'm there.
Awesome. Okay, so what we're going to do then is when you're done with the Cassandora, you're going to switch to the sepia wash. Okay. And there's going to be, let me get this going. I'm using the Citadel sepia, Seraphim sepia, which is another sepia wash. It's just, I like the Citadel shades. So you're going to start, the one that, there's actually one in the Prismatic Paints kit. So I'm going to start my sepia wash by picking up where I stopped and pulling down so that there's going to be a little bit of blending between these two washes.
Okay.
So rather than pull away like I was doing before, I'm now going to bring it down, and you see that this lovely color starts kicking into gear. And the texture comes
how far are we
all the way
this?
Down the body. This is all the way through and down.
Mm-hmm. Get all over those mouth parts, which we still haven't quite come up with a name for, and I'm okay with that because you know what?
Yeah. It's disturbing.
Sometimes some things don't need names. And flail snails are cute, and so they don't need to be made horrific. I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that as long as you leave them be, they're just gonna chill out and do their own thing.
Yep. And that their own thing is just eat dirt and make glass. That's what they want to do. They just want to eat dirt and make glass. I'm like, that is amazing.
Right? Although it kind of sounds like an insult. Eat dirt and make glass.
I'm going to use that one of these
days.
There's
a new insult.
I'm gonna save that for one of my D&D games. One of my characters is gonna be like, "Hey, go eat dirt and make glass."
God, too funny.
That's actually real good.
That is funny. There you go. That can be my fill-in for when I'm driving and I feel the need to say something. Eat dirt and make glass. It has a satisfying feel to it.
Yeah. It is it's derogatory without being derogatory.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It
doesn't
feels,
sound
yeah,
like a good thing,
yeah.
but it's not you saying anything really that
Right.
horrible.
Yeah. Now I will put the Seraphim sepia or the sepia wash onto the base as well. But right now I want to focus on moving it through the snail's body first in case there's any pooling that's collecting up. Because I don't want it to over puddle.
Yeah, and especially on the lower part of the body where it gets into all the
It's
little
texture,
nooks
yeah.
and crannies, it
Yeah.
can definitely
Yeah.
get a little more than you need.
Yep, exactly. But oh, this is so much fun to see taking shape.
Oh, yeah. Well, even as it pools, it's like it's now just showing off how much
Oh, yeah.
texture is in the body, which is so gratifying.
Yeah, but like
As much
right
as the
here I
bright-
had, oh, sorry, I had some over pooling here. So I was able just to sweep it under the shell and to the tip of the tail.
Yeah.
And that way I'm using up all of my wash without being wasteful, essentially.
And not ending up with things that are a little too dark because, well, it's nice to get the definition. These should still be bright, cheery creatures.
Which is why I didn't use a brown wash. I didn't want to, because by nature, the umber washes are a rich brown, and the brown mutes colors greatly. Whereas the Seraphim sepia and a sepia wash, there's a warm undertone to the wash, so it enhances the warmth of the paint that it's going over as opposed to muting it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna need some more. I was too conservative.
Nothing wrong with that. Oh, God, this is so satisfying. Look at this fellow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it.
I walk over, or I look over at the chat and I see Rishi saying, "I need to see Dune."
Ooh.
We were actually just talking about that the other day. I need to see the part 2, but I've read the books, so I'm not as nervous about spoilers, and so
that's
I'm
good.
not as in a hurry, which is good because I just haven't had the time to go.
Fair.
But yeah, it's been interesting seeing all the people coming out of part 2 and having feelings and things to say. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
no spoilers in chat. No spoilers
Nope.
in chat.
Yeah, let's be respectful of who has not, and keep the discussion broad. All
Yeah,
right,
we
almost.
saw part 1 at home when it came to
nice.
streaming.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kind of just tempted to see part 2 that way as well, but I've heard going to the theater is
Yeah.
worth it. So we might just go. We're definitely trying to go at a time and where there's not a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here's the snail portion with the Seraphim sepia wash, and then the Cassandora yellow at the top. It really just plays off the warm tones beautifully.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to sit that down and let it dry.
Are we
We're
doing the
almost
base
done.
as well?
Yes, get the base done as well.
Okay.
I saved
I hadn't
that to
gone
the
to the
very
base
end.
just yet.
Yeah, totally fair. Put these away. I don't need them anymore. What I don't want to do is put a wash on the shell because I don't want to lose the iridescent effect.
Yeah.
If anything, I want to enhance the shininess, so we are going to let this wash dry so that when we go and put the Mod Podge Ultra on, we're not commingling two damp products, and it's not pretty when that happens, okay? So just don't do that.
Nope.
Don't rush
nope,
it.
Not fun.
Not worth undoing all that fantastic work you just did. Seriously.
Better to go at a snail's pace than here.
Ba-dum-bum.
Ba-ba-da-da-bum. Okay. So that means we're going to go back to the render when you're ready. And we're going to want
think
sick
I got
green.
it all.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, let's put that to the side. Back to the render. Hey. What's next?
So we're going to take sick green and we're going to paint the back, the head, top of the tail. So not this under part here where you see that ridge, kind of like how we did with the black dragon. So leave that under portion of the tail not painted with this green. The arms,
I'll
the
get a
legs,
picture of,
and the head.
I'll get a picture of the render on our overlay for next week. I wasn't sure how far we were getting with the snail today, so
Totally fair. And
So
luckily
basically
we're not mixing this with anything. It's just straight up sick green.
yeah.
I am going to put a dot of water in with mine because mine's kind of borderline toothpaste.
Oh yeah, I definitely did that for mine.
And then start applying with a round brush. As to which size, I'm going to go with something smaller.
Okay.
Just because there's so much texture going on with this creature, I want to make sure it gets into those spots.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with you. You seem... So basically the top of this creature, not the belly, not under the tail.
Exactly.
Okay. And not the fin on the top.
Not the frill on the top of the head. That we're going to leave alone.
Okay.
A moment while I mix. There we go, that's better. And we definitely want to make sure this darker green gets into those recesses too.
Yeah, Rishi says, read the book, saw the original movie and the TV miniseries. The current iteration is truly the best. It's
Ooh.
definitely of the Dune that we are talking about. Yeah, part one was super fun. I am really hopeful that they're finally going to be able to tell more than just the story in book one. But I've been hearing real good things. I do have a soft spot for the version that has Sting and Patrick Stewart. I'm not gonna lie. It's just that version makes me happy, and I'm sure some of it is nostalgia. I'm
Oh yeah.
totally okay with admitting that. But yes, if you've recently gotten into Dune because of these new movies, I do recommend, just for the heck of it, I'm sure there are clips online that you can go and check and look at some of those other productions, but specifically the one that I enjoy is the one with Sting and Patrick Stewart. But I love anything with Patrick Stewart in it, so...
I mean, it's Patrick Stewart.
Yeah. And while the effects are obviously nowhere near as good, because it was... Oh, when did that movie come out? Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Long enough ago that the effects don't hold up as well.
Right. Just quick frame of reference for the chest. You can see I'm kind of working around
Oh, yeah.
the front chest panel, and then it's sort of making this V shape at the top of the shoulder. It's harder to see, so I figured I'd map around that first to kind of give you a frame of reference.
I appreciate that. That is helpful.
But yeah, that's a little FYI. But yeah, God, that was... When was that? Chat! Google it.
Chat, help! Help!
Some people have Siri, some people have Alexa. We have chat.
Chat's way better.
It really is. Something to be said for the human factor involved in it. And it being a very good thing.
Sorry, I got green where I didn't want it.
That's okay. It definitely sounds like an issue. 1984. God dang. Wow.
Well, I know we're gonna do a lighter color on the underbelly, and so while I know it doesn't have to be like perfect, I definitely didn't want a
Right.
huge swath of green there because it was just gonna be
Yeah.
really hard to cover up and
Totally.
mix through. So I
Totally
was
get
like,
what you're
that's
saying
way too
here.
much. That's way too much. I'm
That's
going back.
much more than I wanted.
Yeah, Dilettante FTW, this says it's really one of those movies that if you're gonna go see it on the biggest screen that you can, which I have
Ooh.
heard.
Okay.
Um, we are very lucky, and where Luke and I do have a fairly large TV at home. Um, so that is real good. However, we don't have an amazing sound system. And so for me, a lot of the time, that's kind of the appeal of some of these movies
Mm-hmm.
is going to see it with the actual good surround
That's
sound.
fair.
Dolby
Yeah.
digital, blah blah blah. Um,
Boom.
yeah. So that is what I'm looking forward to. But we'll find like a Monday evening
Oh,
or
nice.
something in where there's we'll go to the uh we'll go to the iPic near us, which have the tiny little theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go on a time and where there's probably not going to be a lot of people there, and then we'll go see a
Nice.
movie.
I like it. Sounds like a good
Yeah.
plan.
I don't go into the movie theater that often, so I feel okay with like spending a tiny bit of extra money
Right.
to go to the tiny little theater with a it's a very large theater. It's just got a lot of small um it's a large complex with a lot of small theaters in it.
Right.
There, words will happen. Um and so yeah, it's just a real nice experience and just
Mm-hmm.
a lot more comfortable.
That's good.
Mm.
Gosh, this has lots of ridges to it.
Oh yeah. Are we going all the way down to the hand, including the hand?
Yeah, we will. There's this brace around the hand that you're going to skip over, and then you'll pick
Okay.
back up. Yeah, this isn't like plate armor or anything like that. This is like a bracer. So
Okay. Now that I might have painted a little bit of, but I can.
that's okay because it's going to be getting a brown over it, so it'll be
Okay.
obliterated basically. So any green that does get on there, don't fret.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
do much better about the second hand.
Yeah, it's totally fair.
Yeah. I was just going, having fun, talking about Dune, and the next thing I know, I'm like, did I choose
Yeah, it
that? No, maybe
happens.
I
It
shouldn't have.
happens. No worries. Remember, in the long run, it's paint and you can paint over it. Even if it means going back and putting a little bit of, white down first to get it back to where
Mm-hmm.
you wanted it to be. It's still going to be okay.
Yeah. And for a color called sick green, it's actually a
It's a
pretty
pretty
cool.
color. It's a good
Yeah,
green.
it is a cool
I'm a
looking
fan.
green.
Yeah.
Oh, armpits, here we go.
The underarm pitties.
It's time. It's time to attack an armpit. And everywhere on the legs?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Except for the claws, it looks like. Okay.
Well, I haven't. Well, yeah, except for the claws. Yeah, I haven't fully painted her. I gotta. I'm like starting in one spot and I'm like, oh, I want to get that spot too. And then I go back to the other spot. So I haven't been very good about completing a limited time like I try and do.
That's okay. I'm just making sure as I get to spots
Oh,
that I
yeah,
haven't
totally.
forgotten about.
Yep.
I think eventually I'm going to have to move to a smaller brush to get closer to
Oh,
the
yeah.
edges.
Like,
But
I'm absolutely going to a smaller brush when we get close to the head.
yeah, the head and then around where you are in the tail, I think I'm going to
Yeah.
definitely move to a smaller brush. I mean, that is an excellent way of thinking about it, McTribble. When
Mhm.
painting, mistakes never happen. They just make your version even more unique.
There you go.
Absolutely. But also in these moments where I know I can grab a brush and
Right.
dip it in water and do some fixes of stuff that I would have preferred I didn't do. It's
It's totally fair. Yeah.
It's nice to have that backup
Yeah.
of like, oh no, I can fix this. I can fix this.
Yeah.
It can happen. Also,
Yeah,
I need
mini
to
or
remember not to
comfort zone?
hunch over. Bring the mini to me.
Bring it to me.
You figure after all the work we did on the scales on the snail that uh I wouldn't be so worried about the scales on the render, but here I am like, hunched all over.
That's fine. It's gonna come together. Just you wait and see.
Mm-hmm. I'm also pretty sure this is going to be one of those minis that I might have to go back after it's dried and look for spots.
Yep. No, this is definitely. I'm already seeing it, but I'm like, I want it to dry completely before I start doing another spot check. In fact,
Yeah.
what part of me is tempted to do, depending on how this dries, is go in and glaze out sick green and do another layer of paint so that the thinner portion will go into the recesses a little more easily. I'm going to see how this dries over the weekend before I make that next step determination, though.
Yeah. Because those are the spots that I'm seeing as we're
Yeah.
painting around, and I see, oh, I missed a spot there, and they are almost always in a crease
Mm-hmm.
or in between two scales. So
Yeah. We'll get it sorted out.
yeah.
All said and done. Hee.
Oh. Kogan7M says, not mistakes, custom flares. I like that too.
Yeah, that is fun.
Plumbob says, one of the last two films I saw in a theater was Dune Part 1, and I'll probably go see this one. I will bring some foam earplugs, as that got a bit overpowering last time. Yeah,
Interesting.
it's depending on the theater
good
that
to
you
know
go
for me.
to.
Huh.
Yeah, and even good theaters with good sound systems, on some movies it can get very, very, very loud, and I
Yeah.
100% do not blame you for bringing some light earplugs, because you know what? No one likes to lose their hearing over a movie. So yeah. The movie theater that we go to, I haven't had too much of a problem with. We saw Interstellar there, and
nice.
even when the wah was going on, I was still doing okay. But I could certainly see any action adventure movie just being cautious about that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some action movies that honestly they'll trigger my anxiety with the battle sounds. Like,
Yeah.
just I go into like flight mode. I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and when it's that loud and
Yeah.
that to use the term, that surround sound, that's totally normal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like a visceral reaction.
And it's been interesting over the last 5, 6 years, the discussions that have been going on about Hollywood movies and the mixing that they do for theaters that don't always get remixed uh, uh for home viewing, because very few people, if any, have a giant theater setup in their homes.
Yeah.
And mixing audio for those two different, you basically need to remix a movie for home viewing, and if you don't, that's when you end up with both audio and video. That's where you end up with like sound in a movie that I can't hear the people talking. Why can't I hear the
Yep.
people talking? Or visuals that are too dark.
Yeah.
A lot of the time it's not that the movie is too dark, it's just it was mixed and color corrected for theaters and not for TVs, and now you're missing out on all this because that's just the way it is. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these bigger blockbusters going forward if they get better about that.
Well, hopefully they pick up on that fact. And I mean, I remember with Game of Thrones, what was it, the last season, like, there were times you could barely see what was happening on screen because it was so dark.
Yep. And that, sadly, was a stylistic choice.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a remixing issue.
That's just
and
it. That's what boggles my mind. It's like, like you said, I'm able to be like, okay, theater versus home. Got it. Totally understand.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones was just like, I couldn't tell you who's speaking right now if I had to.
I'm forever grateful that video games in general have in their settings, you can adjust the brightness. And I know a lot of them will be like, hey, for optimum brightness, put it at this so you can just barely see this thing. I always end up nudging it a little brighter. And it always is
interesting. I always go darker because my eyes are so sensitive to light sometimes. Like, I will plummet the brightness on a lot of video games just so I can play comfortably.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I just did it with Sea of Thieves the other night. I'm like, you know what? Water's gorgeous, but the reflection is hurting my eyes, so I just dimmed the brightness of my screen. I was like, oh, now I'm good.
There you go.
Play.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I just usually find if it's what the video game says is optimal, it's usually a tiny bit too dark for my taste, and I miss details.
Okay, that's fair. But case in point, this is why it's good to be able to have those options.
Yep, because everyone's eyes are different, everyone's TVs are different.
Exactly.
Everyone's needs are different. Poke, 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 poke. So I'm just working on a folder.
I was almost like, is that a hint, or are you poking the mini?
a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Great.
Kogan7M asks, a very good question. Any advantage or disadvantage to spraying the whole figurine first as a base lazy fill crease pre-cover? So just
no.
They didn't say anything about
Yeah, no, honestly, this figure has so many deep ridges and angles to get to everything. If you're going from a spray approach, you're going to risk overfilling things in as a result. This is one of those minis you do it justice by hand painting it, as opposed to doing the quick and dirty, spray it completely, and then go from there. Like, I get what you're saying, but no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, just because
personally,
of all the frags.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, yeah.
And it's so much easier to go back and put another layer on if you haven't gone far enough, or what we were talking about earlier about finding spots that we missed to fix versus having there be too much and losing any of that detail.
Yeah.
Because that is one of the real cool things about this figure in specific, but a lot of the ones that we do is how much detail there is, but it can be really surprisingly easy to obliterate it just with too much paint.
Yeah, because remember, it's, acrylic paint. Acrylic is plastic. Plastic hardens. So when you overload your miniature with acrylic paint, that hardens, which means that fills in the gaps, which means you lose your details.
Yeah.
Are there times we don't thin our paint? Yeah, like with dry brushing. Always tend to kind of just not bother with thinning that out because we're thinning as it is by wiping it off on the paper towels. But especially for creatures like this that have high details, definitely make sure you're thinning those paints out. So those paints will go into the recesses without overloading the recesses. And it looks like
fingers, why you gotta be so bad?
A Omen Witch. Got it. A Omen Witch.
Oh.
Can I ask how to kill armored health boss with starter character? I'm newbie, just started today.
Hey, welcome to the game. Glad you could join us. There are lots of champions who have abilities that can help you go after armored creatures. A lot of the time, if you since you're new, you might not have some of those champions, and a lot of the time it's just laying on damage until you can get done with that armor. My suggestion is come to our Discord, discord.gg/idle champions. I will drink. And the reason I suggest that is because it's a little easier in that forum to get more information about, like, okay, so what champions do you have and what adventure are you trying to get through, so that you can get some really good specific suggestions. We've got places in the forum that are in the Discord that are really specifically for new players. We've also got for formations, for specific adventures, so anything you could hope to get. So yeah, while I'm more than happy to answer what questions I can. I'm sure the chat is also happy to speak up. A lot of times with questions like that, when you come to our Discord, then they can ask, and it's easier to show in the Discord and be like, all right, I've got these champions and this is what I'm trying to do. But yeah, at the beginning, armored based enemies, I mean, even as you get some of those champions, armored based enemies are a challenge.
Yeah.
They be a challenge. I think I'm getting close to the point where I'm gonna move to a smaller brush.
Yeah, I'm getting there too.
Because even though I think I could probably stay with this brush, especially along the tail, I'm thinking I'm just going to feel more confident with a smaller brush. Also, this brush is starting to also... Man, my brushes, I think I'm getting to the point that I might have to get some new brushes.
I'm thinking I need to crack open a new package soon.
Yeah.
Because mine are doing little flippy doops. But this is such a rough mini. I'm going to do as much as I can with a beaten up brush.
Yeah.
So that I can move on to something fresh and new and not sacrifice it to the texture gods.
Oh, yes. And Kogan makes an excellent point that I will read out loud, which is definitely sign up for the newsletter, because every week we send one email, one newsletter, and every blue moon we'll send a second. We'll only do that when there's important things. We promise we're not going to send you 3 billion newsletters, because none of us like that. But every week we do send one newsletter to let you know about the weekend buffs that are going the weekend buffs that are going on. And the newsletter will always come with a chest code for free, a free gold chest code. And when you first sign up for the newsletter, because you might miss out on the newsletter that's going out for this weekend, but when you first sign up, we also send you a welcome newsletter that includes a code to unlock Hitch in the game. So you'll get right away a champion who is very useful in a lot of different scenarios, just for signing up for the newsletter. And like I said, we promise to be frugal about when we send out newsletters, because none of us like spam.
No. I'm sorry, I was just cleaning out my inbox the other night from this one company that kept sending me stuff, even though I had hit the unsubscribe thing. Like, oh, it takes a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So that is definitely not the case with what we do at all. And at least we give you something out of it when we do use those outside of the usual Friday shout out type of thing.
Exactly. The fun thing about those newsletters, because the code that we send in the newsletters it's a unique code per email. And unlike a lot of the codes that we give out, like the code that's on screen today, snail shells with an exclamation point, that will get you 1 Electrum chest. That is a code that anybody can use, but it is only good for a week. It has an expiration date on it. The codes that we send in the emails, they're single-use codes, so one person can redeem it once. but they never expire. So on a semi-regular basis, someone who played the game and for whatever reason stopped playing for a while and then has come back to the game, they've they go back into their email history and they'll come on to into our chat and be like, "So I've got 43 emails that have come over the past 43 weeks that I haven't played the game, and now I'm just sitting here enjoying putting chest after chest after chest after chest, just
Dang.
just redeeming all of those codes because
Yeah.
they still work." That always makes me smile when we
That
get
is
someone
fun.
in chat like that.
All right, I am definitely switching to a smaller brush now. I'm getting to the point where it's too big of a brush for where I need to be.
Yeah. I just did that so that I can start getting along the side of the tail and be a little more cautious. Also, I love how the chat immediately is right there to help with new players because
Yeah, they're awesome like that.
yeah. Because I try my best, but I'm also trying to paint a mini.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely a thing when it's like you're trying to do spinning many plates and sometimes it always doesn't pan out.
Yep. But that's why our chat is awesome. And you've joined us. You're a new player at an excellent time because we've just started the new and upgraded events 2.0.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get a chance to jump on board with the new version of the events, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah.
I think it's better for everybody. And I need to stretch. Okay, there we go.
Oh yes, definitely if you need to stop and stretch, do so.
Like, this is satisfying, but also I need to remember to not be hunched over my render.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're getting there. Gosh, I really do like this green though. It's a fun one.
It is. Like I said, it's called Sick Green, but it's actually kind of pretty.
Yeah, to me, like if I were the one naming this, I would have done like, you know, Druid Sprig green, something like that, because it reminds me of like the color of leaves when they come out in the spring.
Yeah. Maybe they meant it in the 80s slang
Sicko.
way of like, oh, it's sick green. Yeah.
I'm fine with that being my headcanon.
Mm-hmm. I used to have a day job many years ago working in the warehouse for a company that did craft supplies. So basically just grabbing off of shelves and packaging craft supplies all day. And so on a regular basis, Copic markers were a very, very popular item.
Yeah.
And they come in 3 billion colors with new ones coming out all the time. And on a very regular basis, it was also with the Copic markers like, what did you call this? Like, I know you have 4 billion markers and you have to call them all something different, but what did you actually go with? What is this?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw a request about brush sizes, and that is absolutely a one moment, please, because I know I've used my other itty bitty detailed brush and put it somewhere else. Dang it! Ah, ha, 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 ha. Here we go. It's a new version of what I have, so that's probably even better. So the itty bitty bittiest that I have is this one from Vallejo. And it's small compared to other brushes. So that's my itty bittiest.
It's so tiny.
It's just a baby.
It's so nice though. Like
Yeah.
there's something very satisfying about having a tiny, tiny, tiny brush that you could just do really tiny detailed or get, you know, or edge really, really fine places. Does that tiny, tiny, tiny one have a size delineation?
It's
Like
a number
a
40 for Vallejo's markings.
okay.
It's part of it comes in a pack. This is the pack. Synthetic detail.
Pinceless brushes?
I think this is
Pincellas.
Spanish for brushes because Vallejo will double, maybe, or
Oh.
no, maybe not.
Hmm.
Maybe it is pinceless. But it is the detail set round. Yeah, I think it is brushes. Looking at the
Oh. Yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
So yeah, those are yours, your itty bitties. Okay, so I was right. Deductive reasoning. It is brush.
I mean, it makes sense, especially
Yeah.
when you turned it over in the back. That totally made
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. But it's a good set for like itty bitty detail brushes, for sure.
Real quick, the tip of the tail.
Mm-hmm.
Green or no green?
I did green.
Okay. I can see it
just made
going
more sense. Yeah,
either
it could
way.
go either way. That's artist interpretation. Plumbibe keeps a single hamster hair held in a pair of tweezers for the really fine work. You know what's also really great? Cat whiskers.
That's amazing.
No, they really are.
No, also
Because
the
they have a
hamster
rigidity.
whiskers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the cat whiskers. I've heard you
Yeah.
talk about that, and that's both of those are amazing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can even use human hair if you want to. Just saying.
Next time I go to visit, I got some very, very good friends who have cats. Maybe
There
the
you
next
go.
time we go to visit, I'll just be like, "Hey, got any whiskers lying around that I could just take?"
Okay, don't laugh. I will gather their whiskers when they shed them, and I have a special little shot glass on my bookcase where I just pop the whiskers in.
I don't.
Like,
I'm
save
not
it
gonna
for later
laugh.
when I need ultra detail stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that totally makes sense. I mean, I'm not going to laugh. I'm the one who just said, "Oh, the next time I go over to a friend's house, I'm going to ask them for the whiskers of their cat." So, I think fortunately, we're all geeks,
Yeah.
and so they're a good enough friend that I'll be like, "Hey, you got any whiskers from your cats lying around that have recently shed?" And in the process of picking a couple up and grabbing them, it will be like, "Oh yeah, sure," and then afterwards,
Why?
"Hi."
Yeah.
You gotta love
Funny
those
you
kind of
ask.
friends.
Yeah.
Like, I know I can ask for weird things, and you will ask why, but you'll be grabbing them while you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
And this will totally make sense.
Okay, so I've pretty much got this guy painted up. I'm gonna let him dry. 'Cause,
Oof. I'm still working.
Totally fair. Because I'm at the point where if I try and go and spot check things, I'm worried I'm going to pull paint away because the paint is starting to dry and I'm going in with wet paint and that can mar the cycle. So
Yeah.
we're going to leave this to dry. If anything, next week we will play the oops, missed a spot, oops, missed a spot. Because the nice thing is we just use a straight up color. We didn't blend, we didn't mix, we didn't do any things like that.
Yeah.
So...
And I just might finish up this bit of the tail. I still got to edge around the chest
Okay.
and the head, but that I may turn into homework.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I
Totally
don't
fair.
have to rush.
Yeah, no, you don't want to rush it. Okay.
And I'm definitely
so-
going to be also doing the missed a spot
Yeah.
when we come back.
Yep. It's a real deal. Oops, missed a spot. Oops, missed a spot. I am going to quickly wash my brushes because that green likes to hang out a little too long if you're not careful.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. Definitely wash your brushes today after that sick green. I noticed that one of my brushes had a residual pigment hanging out in it even after rinsing, so using my little the brush cleanser
Yeah.
from B&J.
I just love the old school
Oh, it makes me so
tin. It's
happy.
just so good.
It's just I'm all about nostalgia packaging. It just makes me so happy. Like with makeup, when there's some makeup that has that lovely like 1920s-esque Art Deco vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about that. Like with the, super floofy powder proofs and the mother of pearl details. Yeah. I'm not a magpie. No.
I'm not always about the Art Deco or about the nostalgia, but there's something stylish about some of those, and especially
Yeah.
things like tins. We so much of our stuff these days is plastic. And so when you get something that's just in a really nice tin container or metal or something that
Yep.
could be easily recycled or used in something else, it feels so
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to get a layer of the Mod Podge Ultra onto this mini. If you're not familiar with Mod Podge Ultra, it is this, and it comes in a spray bottle, pump action spray bottle, which is really very nice. So what you'll want to do is get the gloss variety for this particular project. Absolutely. And we're going to put a layer of this gloss on the shell itself. This is still a little, you can see there's still some moisture on the body, so I'm not going to glaze the body quite yet. You will want to put a glaze of the gloss onto the rest of the mini, but right now we're going to focus on the shell itself, because I actually want to give the shell 2 layers as opposed to just the one, because the more layers you put on, the more shiny it's going to be. And then what I do is I just take the top off and I honestly just dip right into the mix, and it's like this milky white consistency, like skim milk, but it dries clear. So if you're worried about like, oh my gosh, this is like clouding up my paint, it's gonna shift it. Don't worry, it dries clear. And I'm just gonna start applying this to the shell. This will really enhance the iridescent factor too, which will be fun.
How do I want to do this? I think we're going to put that there. Okay.
I'm using a nice round fluffy brush for this to help get it into the recessed grooves too.
Yeah, even with it being a little bit of a milky, initially looking liquid, especially on this shiny, iridescent shell, it can be very easy to lose. Okay, what have I already used this on?
But we definitely want to get a couple of good coats in on this so that it really gives it that mother of pearl effect.
Now, how long are we going to want to wait between coats?
I would put this layer on today and then do another layer, full layer on the whole mini tomorrow, so that the shell gets a second layer and the rest of the body gets treated.
Okay. More homework for later.
Yeah.
But fun homework.
Yeah. And that's something that, we'll just take pictures of the final coating process and share on social media for the folks watching.
Yeah. Because
regardless, it still needs time to dry to show off what the final result would be.
Yep.
And then we'll pick up with the Lizardfolk Render. I don't know why my brain's like, no, just not today. We'll pick back up with that next week and get it finished too. And that's my
And next
hope.
week I'll have it on the overlay. Yay.
Woo-hoo. Oh, this is just so satisfying.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Let me move my light so you can actually get... Since I'm moving it one way because the white from the primer was just too much, and now I want to show it off more. Look at that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, I love this
Love
show
it,
so
love
much.
it, love it. I'm so happy with this.
And it's fun using the shiny here because so often when we use the gloss, it's usually for like eyeballs and or
Yeah.
slimy things.
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
gross bits. And so it's
Yep.
fun to use the gloss in a
For good.
on a mini in a place and where it's just like it's just gonna make it
Yeah.
glow.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at that. So much fun. Right now I'm just kind of spinning it around and seeing where... It's kind of like giving it a wash, so you want to make sure you're pulling up where it starts to puddle and collect.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing.
Where did my paper towel
Especially right around the butt. Right around the butt it
yep,
wants to.
Yep. It's definitely
Nope,
got
nope.
a direction this wants to flow.
You get to be shiny, but not like that.
Bubbly.
Not like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Think. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm really
It's
happy with that.
shiny.
It's so pretty. All right, so
This
I'm gonna
is
set.
a big enough shell that I can actually hold it far enough away from the camera that I can still show it off. Like usually it's like I can't show my mini because it doesn't want to focus. So it's fun to have something big enough.
Saying, just quick tip: everyone, wash your brushes after using the Mod Podge Ultra because this will turn this rock solid if you don't wash it right away.
Yeah.
Or get it into water and dilute it. Just keep that in mind.
This is also one of the things I do with those brushes I was talking about before. Where I'm like, oh, this brush has just about had it. They become my Mod Podge brushes.
Yep.
They become. I've also got one here. Early on in my career, I had this giant
Oh yeah.
flat brush which I used for an early gloss. Did not clean it enough, and now it is just a rock. Now it's not a brush anymore, but this has become the brush that I use for mixing when we're mixing paints,
There you go.
or when I've got to add water to something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I learned that the hard way. Fortunately, with a brush that I probably wouldn't be using very much anyway.
Yeah. So there you go, saving grace.
Yeah.
Give yourself a tool. Oh, that looks so
They're shiny.
good.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm so
nicely
happy
done.
with how this turned out.
Nicely done. That looks awesome. Yeah, I'm thrilled to bits, and also showing how to do the sponging technique with the various colors to get the modeled mother of pearl. And like, what always makes me happy is when I can hold it near the official art and be like, yep, you can tell that
Yep.
was inspired by the official art.
Yeah, that's
Happiness
super cool.
is, yeah. All right, so let me see here.
Well, I've picked the render back up and I'm working on a shoulder.
Yeah, so definitely if you want to keep painting the render, we can keep going that, because honestly, the next step is starting to get into the underbelly and stuff. But if you're still painting green, that doesn't make sense to get that started yet. So we'll just hang out and chat while you work
Yeah.
on that one.
We're getting towards the end of the day anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Oh,
But yeah,
I'm
I've got
just saying.
a little bit around the head to still do, and closer to the stomach, just to make sure that I'm
Right.
getting far enough over, but not so far.
Okay, so you want to see something fun?
Always.
All right, so I was going through my many paints and starting to get things organized, and I found the trial testing samples when they were working on the prismatic paint concepts, and they were
Oh.
coming up with the new colors.
Those are adorable.
It's the same size as the other bottles. It's just they're like, yeah, well, you don't get the fun fancy labels. You get literally the what is that?
Printed
thing
off of a printer.
printed
labels,
yeah. It's one of those oh god, the label maker. That's the word I'm looking for. But it's like the same size bottle.
That
So
is so
yeah, now I'm
cool.
like, okay, well, obviously I know this is bullywug hide. That carried through. Cobalt scales carried through.
Yeah.
This one I think is gold yellow. Or no, this one might be sun yellow. This one's sun yellow. Gold yellow is more orangey. And then this one, I was trying to figure out which it was. Because it's just new GC game color. So is this because this was the one where they're really trying to personalize it too. This might be a color that didn't make it through. Yeah. Let me check
Just
something.
wasn't popular enough. It couldn't make it into the set. How sad.
Right? Well, that happens sometimes. Yeah, this looks like one that wasn't quite in the making. It is a fun color. Here, I'll swatch
And it just turns into, all right, we can only have so many paints in this set.
It might be because... Oh, that might be why. Because that's a very similar color that they have in the model line.
Oh,
Bet you
okay.
that's why. Yeah. So yeah, it was just really funny to come across these and be like, oh my god, and they're still good.
Yeah. For tiny little bottles, they
Right?
seal really nicely. In fact,
They do.
one of them is still very, very sealed
One
for
of them
me.
is still here. Yeah. I don't know why it's doing that to you, my lord. Oh, and then this is... I think this one was the early stages of black pudding because it's actually more black than the cool bluish tone.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to see. Anyways, just it's funny the stuff you hang on to and then you find it years later, literally, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that's fun. And
Yeah.
what's also fun about that is, like you said, it's still usable. It's still useful.
yeah.
Just because it's not in the set or it was a test run or whatever, it's still paint.
Yeah. It's just, obviously some of the colors are like, yeah, you can get this color in the prismatic sets, and the other ones it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah. These are just for your personal use.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
can't get this color anywhere.
Yeah. But they were fun to test out and see how they worked and vibrancy and what have you.
So when
That
you
was
are
fun.
testing paints
Yeah.
like that, you've been sent a whole bunch of paints, you're going to test them out. How do you go about testing paints?
Just grab a mini, you start painting it and see how it does with coverage. If it's streaky, if it's too thick, or like thick in terms like the pigment is just not even going on evenly.
Okay.
There's just different things you kind of just pass along. It's like, oh, it dries too quickly, so you can't blend, and just think about the different techniques of what you'd be using with it as a paint. Doesn't mix nicely with other colors is another thing to keep in mind, because if you're like, oh, I can blend this color and this color, and then the colors are like, we don't want to play.
Nope, you just
Yeah.
get one of us.
Yeah, like you have to get the get along T-shirt, and even that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, it's kind of fun and neat to check out what carried through now that we have the sets and all of that jazz.
I'm getting there. I'm getting
Yeah,
there.
because Plaid send me some things ahead of time too, just to make sure they're up to snuff and people like the concept. The Flash Metallics were one of those sets they sent me early before they launched them, and they were so, oh god, talk about hitting out of the ballpark. I fell in love the second I pulled out the first color and painted with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, this is cool stuff like that. Did I drink all
Yeah.
my drink all my drink? Dang it.
I'm working around the mouth right now. It's like, okay, we
Fair.
did all this great work with the red. I'm gonna try and not get green inside the mouth.
Yeah. All right. So, name of the game at this point is, again, let this shell dry completely with its first coat of the gloss Mod Podge. Give it about 24 hours. So basically, this time tomorrow, sit down and do a full coat again with the gloss, because that'll give the snail like a lovely, slimy, sleek look. And you can do that all around, even on the little slimy bits. You can put that on there, and that's going to enhance them even more, which is kind of fun. And then I leave it up to you with the base. If you want to also have a glass to it, go ahead and use it, or you can switch to a matte varnish and do matte on the base itself, but then you'll have your Flail Snail completely finished, and all you have to do is pop it onto its lovely clear base, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Which will be a lot of fun. Reason why I'm not going to glue this onto the base now is because the snail body still needs to get a varnish on it, and sometimes you get like a weird residue on the clear plastic disc base, and I don't want to do that if it's avoidable. So I'll put that part on as the very, very last step. But yeah, this I'm very happy, and I'm excited to share it sometime this weekend, for sure.
I think thinking about it right now, I think I'm probably going to keep the base as a matte to help highlight the shininess of the shell.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So while Lauren is still getting things finished up with the Lizardfolk render, because this is the one we'll jump back into next week and have lots of good fun with.
Yeah.
Don't forget, happening right now is our Festival of Fools, where we are featuring Darius and the Dark Urge. So yeah, the Dirge. Speaking of the Dirge, if you've signed up for the newsletter, you should hopefully, if not yet, soon be getting our newsletter for this week's Weekend Buff, which is Dirge Run Weekend, with a free gold Dirge chest. You can tell there's a theme. So definitely check that out.
Always be branding. Always be on brand.
Always on brand, on the mark. And thanks again to Gabe for hanging out in the chat with us and helping pull questions and popping them into the document so we can catch your questions as they come in. And thank you, chat, as well, for the conversation and for jumping in to help the new players and, provide guidance and answers too, while Lauren and I are trying desperately to not miss a spot, find a spot, fix a spot while we're painting.
Yep, some of us are still doing that right now.
Right? And for being our own, helpful searchers with Google and everything like that.
Yep.
Because that really does come in handy. We're like, I don't know off the top of my head. And it's like, boom, 1984 June. Thank you. That was perfect.
It's one of the joys of modern life is that you can have those kinds of questions. You can actually get the answers to them. You don't have to sit at home and be like, I have no idea how to figure out the answer to this. And my encyclopedia doesn't have that knowledge.
Oh, my God. Remember going through encyclopedias to find out information? God. Oh my God.
All right, if it wasn't at the one at school, and if it wasn't at the big giant one that my parents had at home, I'm not learning it, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, unless you find an expert that's in the area that you could talk to, and those are your options. So, oh my God, too funny. So we do have formation after us, right?
Yes.
I'm just making sure.
I know. That's a good idea to make sure, isn't it?
I don't want to say stick around, and then they stick around, and Gabe said yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So formation save is after this. So stick around so you can catch that as well, and wrap up your Friday with all things Idle Champions. And Ember Flame Queen, have fun claiming over 100 newsletter codes. That's incredible.
Yes. I love it.
Fantastic.
Just get yourself something nice to drink, put on some good music, and just copy pasta.
Do.
Yeah.
That's a fun dance. Beep, ba-deep, ba-deep, ba-deep. All right. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. Looking forward to seeing you next week in the chat, where we pick back up with our Lizard Render Folk, which is from WizKids in the D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures line. And have fun playing the game. And until then, take care, everyone. Bye. Rawr!